Hi everyone, here's just a little short video from me. I'm arranging this pretty leafy background because I thought it'd look quite nice for a change for you to see a couple of projects that I made last year for Halloween. Now prior to this they've only been photographed because they've been on my blog, and there is a couple of little sort of photo tutorials of how I made these items, and I'm going to share the links with you at the end of this video. I'm also working on a couple of Halloween projects at the moment, as you can tell by my inky fingers, so more of that later. I'm hoping to have it ready in time for the witching hour. But in the meantime, with my leafy background all prepared, I'm going to show you a couple of Halloween tags that I made last year. And the first one is a tag that I made when I was taking part in 12 tags of 2012. If I remember rightly, the technique or one of the techniques that Tim showed us was to use tissue paper to create texture, and it worked a treat to help make my tombstone look like a real tombstone. So instead of adding ribbon, I had a little bit of plastic chain that came on a spooky garland that I bought that year, and that worked perfectly to maintain the look of this tag. And I created the depth using layers of chipboard, and I layered it up so that it looked like one of those old gravestones that you see in the churchyard. And I've created a little niche with some very glamorous looking blood and Skull is quite glamorous too because he's got his black jewel eyes. And you'll see if you go and have a look at the photo tutorial how I layered up all the chipboard and then covered it in tissue paper before I stippled on the paint colours to make it look like old stone. And I've added a little fun spider here, although he's not so little if you think of this in proportion and you came across him in a graveyard somewhere. Even if he was bedecked in orange glitter, he'd be a bit scary. And I've also made a couple of little additions to my tombstone, and I've got this lovely gothic looking candle with its marble base, which is all just layers and circles of chipboard and little tubes of chipboard that I've painted up to look like marble, with a white candlestick on top, which I dripped white glue down to get the drops of wax, and the little flame is made from a little daub of hot glue, which I then stickled with some orange stickles. And the vase is made in very much the same way, so a little base of chipboard circles cut in half, and then a little twist or a little tube of card, which I painted everything black, added some red or burgundy stickles, and then I dipped my paper roses in black distress ink. And the cobwebs that you see are all made using your hot glue gun, and I know we really try desperately hard not to make these strands normally, but they make brilliant cobwebs when you really do want them. And I think I'm going for a theme here because I've added a little bit of glamour to this skeleton as well, with his jewelled cravat made out of a bit of ribbon. He also has crystal eyes, and I made him some little natty cuffs, again with little bits of ribbon and some red jewels. And now what am I going to do with this person? He's got to have somewhere very glamorous to live, don't you think? So again, I have made something quite glamorous for Halloween, and this might seem really odd, and how this idea came to me I don't know, but it definitely started out life as a tag. I made it for the Tag Tuesday challenge last year, and I had some of this veneer wood that my son had been using on a project, and it was a perfect way to cover everything once I'd constructed this little crypt, I think you'd call it, or a fancy coffin, I'm not sure. And then I covered it with the wood veneer once I'd made it out of, or constructed it out of, cardboard. So I definitely all went out on the designer spooktacular coffin, and I hope that you'll agree that I've achieved the look I was going for. So this opens up in two parts so that I can tuck my glamorous skeleton into his abode. It's all lined lovely with ribbon, black satin ribbon, and he pops in there, and this closes over to keep his little tootsies warm. Once I'd created this little des res for my skeleton, I was really getting into the spirit of things, and I wanted to create him a few more little things to make sure he was comfortable in his crypt. And so I went, first of all thought, well, he might get a bit of a crick in his neck sitting at this angle, so I better make him a satin pillow to match his black satin sheets. And it was all just done with the glue gun, a little bit of foam in the middle, I think it was cotton wool, and then wrapped some ribbon round. Used my glue gun, didn't do any stitching, and there we have one little pillow to prop my skeleton up on. And of course he's going to be doing something, and I made this little book, get that the right way around, and it's just made with a little bit of that grunge paper that comes from Tim Holtz, with a few little paper pages inside. And of course he's reading the obituaries. Of course, what else would he be reading on Halloween's Eve? So that just pops there, just in case he needed a little bit more reading. I mean, he may well be in there a long time. So I made 3 other little books, again bound them with the grunge paper, which looks very, very much like old leather, so that works a treat. And then I came up with a few spooky titles: Tales from the Crypt, Halloween 2, and Ghost Stories. So he's definitely got some apt reading, and they just pop in there. And then I made him something to drink, so one of the little Tim Holtz ideology bottles, and that says Strong Spirits on there. It's got a little bit of a, I think it's distress stain if I remember rightly, and I just sealed it. You need to make sure you seal this kind of thing up. I just sealed it with a hot glue gun to make sure that it stayed and didn't leak into the coffin once I put it all away at the end of Halloween. And then I made another candlestick, and as you know, I'd already made one, but this time this is a full 3D version. Again, the base is just made with 2 little bits of chipboard, and the top of the candlestick as well, a couple of round circles, and then a tube of card in the middle, a little tube of card on the top, and then the bottom piece is just painted gold with a little bit of gold stickles. Again, the candlestick is painted white and dripped with the white glue, and then the hot glue gun used to make the flame on the top with a bit of orange stickles. And a 3D vase this time, but this time I took the easy option. I used a button for the base, and I used a pen lid for the top of the vase, and I've just added some little highlights with my stickles. Again, the roses were dipped, they're paper roses, I just dipped them into the black distress stain, added a few little punched fern leaves. I think these roses are looking a bit too pristine. I might have to get my glue gun out this year and just give them a dusting of cobwebs before Halloween is upon us. I'm hoping that you've enjoyed this spooktacular review, and that you're thinking of having lots of crafty, spooky fun on the run up to Halloween. I'll definitely be posting something else shortly, and I hope in the meantime that this inspires you to do something spooky of your own. Follow the links to my blog and you'll see a little bit more detail on the photograph tutorials of how I put these 2 spooky tags together. Thank you for watching.